exposed to both of those, that face shield you just showed me will protect you against the big droplets.
Okay.
But it won't protect you against the aerosols. It won't.
Okay.
You'll still be able to smell the smoke if somebody were smoking.
Got
So
it.
it won't protect you against the aerosols, and that's so. If you do decide to wear a face shield, you do it in addition to the mask, not instead of the mask.
Okay. Okay. So that was my little side question. But back to in school learning, how effective are these safe measures at preventing COVID-19 transmission?
When everything is done together, it's been very, very effective, incredibly effective. And actually, you're in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, the school district there has been doing extensive testing of the students. And one of the great things is that we're learning a tremendous amount about how safe it is. And they're finding very little transmission in the schools, very few outbreaks. Most of the transmission is happening at home. They catch the cases because they're screening them. And so when you do everything, you pay attention to everything, you can really reduce transmission. And so and all of this is possible is because we kept up with the science. If you early on, remember when they had the stay-at-home orders, the shutdowns, and all that.
How can I forget?
Yeah. Well, when everybody was staying home, and you probably were working, you probably were not working in person. The big reason for doing that was really to buy us time to learn about the virus, develop vaccines, and develop therapeutics. We now know a lot more about the virus. And that's why one of the things that we're doing now is based because we have the scientists have done an incredible job developing super effective vaccine and also teaching us about how the virus is transmitted.
So what are some of the ways that parents can help keep the school safe?
So one is to be a little patient. The reason why I say it, my wife is a first grade teacher. She's been teaching first grade for over 25 years.
Wow, my daughter is.
Say that again?
My daughter is in first grade currently.
Oh, it's a wonderful age. The kids are just really beginning to learn sort of the academics. Kindergarten was all about social, and first grade started to learn about academics. So now I was going to say something, and I forgot what I was going to say about my wife. So to implement all these measures, so just imagine, for a teacher, even for administrators, it's a really tough job being a teacher. You think you have all these kids in the classroom, especially in first grade, because you're trying to teach them how to be more disciplined, to stand in line, to follow instructions, and you have to deal with parents and just teachers and staff. So schools are just our communities that are just very complex with a lot of issues. Put on top of that, now they have to worry about testing, masks, opening the windows, HVAC systems, extra cleaning, all these things. So it's been really stressful. It's been incredibly stressful on the teachers and the schools and the administrators to do this. They really have had to learn how to do this. So I think it's really important to sort of appreciate that it's really been a team effort. So to develop a good relationship with the teachers, have a reliable, authoritative source of information. That's what you're doing right now. Thank you so much. It makes a big difference. There's a lot of what we call misinformation. People just don't have the wrong facts and they spread it. They don't realize it's the wrong fact. And then there's disinformation. People who are intentionally spreading information that's not true to just disrupt things. And so I think it's really important to make sure you get the accurate facts. So if you have any doubts, talk to the school, because the schools are connected with public health authorities. Talk to the health department. Talk to your doctor. please, that's really critical. Talk to somebody that's gonna help you understand the facts and help you make better decisions for you, your kids, your families, and your community.
Yeah, and my hat's off to your wife. I think this shutdown really made parents realize how hard it is with home learning. So hats off to your wife. Teachers, they do amazing things when it comes to our kids. So I appreciate her for that. Can students safely participate in school sports and social?
So, physical activity is really important for students' health. It's important not just for their physical health, it's also important for their mental health. We now know that the mind and the body are really one. So when you're exercising, when you're doing physical activity, you're actually strengthening your mind. So it's really critical. They learn a lot of other important social skills, how to be a team player, how to lose with grace. There's a lot of things that you learn from sports that just prepare you for the future life, but also it's just really healthy for you. So physical activity and sports are really important. And so part of the challenge is that how do we continue that in a way that minimizes risk of transmission? So some of you apply the same concepts. One is if you're eligible to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you're sick, don't go to practice, don't go to school, go see your doctor, get tested. Do things outdoors, do things outdoors as much as possible, and then think of those ways that you might get infected. So oftentimes the infections don't happen on the field, they happen in the weight room, in the carpool, on the bus, in having the pizza party in a place that's not well ventilated. So they happen, oftentimes the infections happen in other ways, and then it can disrupt. And it's tough because sports is so important. Kids love playing sports, so we have to figure out how to continue doing it in a way that lowers the risk. And then we're going to get through this over time. Hopefully next year will be very different. That we'll be able to get closer to normal life. But in the meanwhile, we ask the parents to be patient. I know it's really tough on the parents. It's tough on the coaches, right? Because they really. You know how it is. Well, you'll see this. I don't know if your kids are playing sports, but my kids started playing micro soccer when they were, I think, 4 years old. But it's fun as a parent to watch the kids play.
Yeah. Okay, so Halloween and Day of the Dead is coming up. Is it okay for families to celebrate that this year?
Yeah, so think of Halloween. It's going to be a little similar to any of the things that are going to be happening over the holidays. And so you want to do activities that is important. So that's why going out trick or treating is a really one way of celebrating Halloween. Do things outdoors, avoid crowds, be around people that you know. And the other thing about Halloween is just be careful, especially if you're out at night, it gets dark earlier, make sure you're wearing something bright. Recognize that just wearing a mask is not the same as wearing a good mask that protects you. So if you happen to be in a crowd or you happen to be indoors for a short period of time, make sure you continue to do that masking. The other thing we tell people is that if you happen to be with a group of people where you know everybody, and everybody's vaccinated, you're much safer. So if you don't have, then really a mask can be optional in that setting. But other than that, really keep doing the same common sense measures that we know about. Try to do things as much outdoors, and please be careful.
Okay. So what safety tips should we keep in mind as the holiday season approaches?
So last year, the holidays is when we began to see we had a very big winter surge. Many people were hospitalized. It was a really difficult time for California and across the country. So we want to, and it started with the holiday gatherings. A lot of these social gatherings, what happens is that people come indoors, they get infected, they transmit to others, then those people go to work, infect workers, and then take it into the home, and so you get this spreading of infection from social to work into the household, and it just explodes. Fortunately, we have a lot of people vaccinated, so we're keeping our fingers crossed. We're keeping our fingers crossed, but we still want people to be careful and to think about it. So what can you do? So for example, right now we're going to have Halloween now. Thanksgiving is at the end of, it's going to be end of November. You know, it takes, depending on which vaccine you get, it takes one shot, and then 3 to 4 weeks later you get your second shot, and about 2 weeks after that you're fully vaccinated. So it can be anywhere 5 to 6 weeks before you're fully vaccinated. So if you really want to enjoy the holidays as safely as possible, regardless of age, get vaccinated now. Now is the time to start your vaccine, so you'll be fully immune, really, when the holidays, when Christmas comes around, New Year's comes around. So that's probably the best thing that's the number one thing people can do, is to get vaccinated. And the second thing is to apply the same concepts. If you're going to be indoors, masking, open the windows. Some families, because they have members of the family that are unvaccinated or immune compromised for whatever reason, might be a grandma that's just had chemotherapy. You do all that, but some people will do some testing. They might test themselves before they have the gathering, just to make sure that nobody who's infected comes in.
Okay. I just got my booster shot, so yeah. So speaking of fathers,
there you go.
Speaking of fathers, what are some of the things that dads can do to keep their families and their kids protected?
The most important thing dads can do is support mom. Moms are working so hard. It's that's one thing. It is a time where everybody multitasking. So support moms. The other thing to do is to continue to really model good behavior. So and this is so important for your. I should let you know. So I have 3 kids. My oldest is 20. My youngest is 20. In college right now. So I remember my kids when they were, your kids, I think 6 and 3. So that's a really special time. So it's a really special time to just model good behavior. And some of the most important behaviors for all of us, is for kids, for adults, for everybody. Get a good night's sleep. Eat nutrition, physical activity. Take them out on hikes, take them walking. Do it while they're young, because when they're young, it just becomes part of their DNA. They're just, take them out to really enjoy nature. You do it really when they're young. They'll want to go hiking, and then let's say go see a movie, for example. The other thing you can, I'll say a couple of other things that you can teach your kids is actually a little bit of mindfulness. Just to take some deep breaths, just to be in the moment. It's really important, because we're really in stressful times, and now the time to give them those tools that is just going to help them. It's going to help them for the rest of their life. And then the last thing I'll tell you, as a dad, I wish I'd done this more with my kids, and it's hard because oftentimes dad knows the answer. Is don't give them answers. Ask them questions. Ask them questions. What do you think? If you do this, what do you think is going to happen? Let's try it. Let's see what happens. And you're going to turn them into little scientists. And so by the time they're in second or third grade, they're going to be they will have run thousands of little experiments with dad, with mom, and with other kids. is just, it's transformative. And so that's probably one of the most important things. And that's really going to help them as they start learning about, because they're going to get bombarded with all kinds of information about COVID later on, about other things that they're going to get exposed to. So if they learn how to do that questioning, that inquiry, that scientific thinking, you can do them by not giving them the answer. Ask them a question.
Okay. I'm definitely gonna take that advice. I can't wait to try it on my daughter Berkeley. Well, Dr. Aragon, thank you for taking the time to answer all these questions. I'm sure many people watching have been wondering the same thing, so it's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. I think you're amazing, and right now you're saving a lot of lives. And so I think this is what it takes. And we know that COVID has really impacted, especially communities of color. So it's really critical. I know you raised in Oakland. I grew up in the Mission District in San Francisco. So it's from the Bay Area.
For sure. Well, thanks for joining us live and all this information is very helpful. I'm gonna make sure my wife isn't on right now. Make sure she tunes in because I learned a lot today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Behind there, I couldn't make that out either. But yeah, there's something clearly behind there. Looks like it's put a room. So be careful.
Hello, my name is Dr. Christina Parks. I received my PhD in cellular and molecular biology right here in the state of Michigan from University of Michigan Medical School. And so I'm very well versed in the science of both these mRNA, gene therapy, vaccines, this kind of technology, as well as what a vaccine is designed to do in the body, what it can do, what it can't do, and the fact that this is extremely complex science that has been oversimplified in the media to basically take away our freedom of choice. What I want to address today in this limited time is the fact that vaccine requirements and mandates are based on the faulty assumption that the vaccines in question prevent transmission of the pathogen. Right? Does the vaccine for dept prevent transmission? No. Does the vaccine for flu prevent transmission? No. Do the vaccines for COVID prevent transmission? No. In fact, they were never designed to do that. All right, so you're asking, what about this 95% effectiveness? If you look at those clinical trials, they do not say that they prevent transmission. They expressly say that they're measuring whether they attenuate symptoms. So they're 95% effective based on their clinical trials at attenuating symptoms for the first variant, which is essentially gone in our population. Right now, the predominant variant is the Delta, and CDC Director Walensky basically said that these vaccines have no ability to prevent infection by and transmission of the Delta variant. So, our policy needs not to be built on the hope of what we think something we want it to do, but what the data actually tell us. So do these viruses do the vaccines prevent the virus from infecting and replicating in the nose and nasopharynx? No. They've only been shown to prevent that replication in the lungs. They're different. The mucosa is very different than the lungs. It's very different than the blood. You inject it to the blood, you make antibodies in your blood. The virus isn't infecting your blood. It's infecting your mucosa, and you don't produce any IgA to neutralize it. In fact, recent studies have shown that the vaccinated, especially with the Delta variant, and the unvaccinated have similar amounts of virus in their nose and throat. In Barnstable, Massachusetts, the CDC tracked an outbreak of 469 cases of COVID. 74% occurred in fully vaccinated, and 4 out of 5 of those hospitalized were vaccinated. All right, so maybe they are mandating this because they just didn't know with the COVID. And so my main complaint is with our health agencies and the CDC, who basically know better and are misleading the public. So let's look at dept, which the scientists and the CDC have known since 2014 that the acellular pertussis vaccine does not prevent people from getting infected with the pertussis bacteria and passing it to others. In fact, it was never designed to do that. The vaccine was designed to neutralize the pertussis toxin. Pertussis, we know it as whooping cough. It can be fatal for children under 6 months. So neutralizing this toxin saves lives. All right? I'm not going to debate that. But what it doesn't do is neutralize the bacteria. So what happens is fully vaccinated children go to daycare, they pick up that bacteria, and they come home and they give it to their newborn brother or sister. They get deathly ill, and they go to the hospital. Hopefully, our medical professionals are able to save them. But who do they blame? Now the CDC is blaming anti-vaxxers for the limitations of this vaccine design. I suggest that they be transparent and tell parents that although it is preventing severe disease in their children, it is not preventing transmission because we have created a whole class of asymptomatic pertussis carriers who are increasing the disease. Now, the old DTP vaccine that many of you who are my age or older got did prevent transmission. When we switched to the safer acellular version, they knew that it was never designed to prevent transmission. It was safer, it had less adverse events, but pertussis cases have gone through the roof. There's a resurgence in pertussis because of the design of the vaccine, and the vaccinologists know this. They're trying to address it, and so we cannot mandate that something that does not prevent transmission. All right, what about the flu vaccine? Well, they have shown that basically there's no difference, there's no statistical difference if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, whether you get the flu or not. But it's even worse because although the first year it is somewhat effective, it's about 65% effective at preventing symptoms in you, after that, it actually has negative efficacy. And I want to address this because it's very important. Vaccines are made to a specific variant, and when that variant mutates, the vaccine no longer recognizes it. And so it's like you're seeing a completely new virus. And because that's so, you actually get more severe symptoms when you're vaccinated against one variant, and then it mutates, and then your body sees the other variant. So there's the potential, and the science shows that, in fact, with the flu, if you get vaccinated in multiple years, you are more likely to get severe disease, you are more likely to have more viral replication, and you are more likely to be hospitalized, both in adults and in children. We are seeing the same thing in COVID with the Delta variant. And so we are mandating that people get a vaccine that could actually make them more sick when they're exposed to the virus. In fact, this week, a paper came out, and what it showed is that with this Delta variant, when you're vaccinated, your body makes antibodies that are supposed to neutralize the virus. But they were supposed to neutralize the old variant. When they see this new variant, what they're doing is the antibodies are taking the virus and helping it infect the cells. All right, that science was just published this week. We need to be looking at the science, and we need our policy to reflect the science, and we also need it to reflect our rights. And so, as a PhD who knows the science, I'm in the category of the most vaccine hesitant group. Yes, PhDs are the most vaccine hesitant, followed by people who have less than a high school degree because they know what they don't know and they don't trust their government. And many people, the other group that is very vaccine hesitant are African Americans. 70% of African Americans have not taken this vaccine. Why? Because they don't trust their government. Do they have reason not to trust their government? Well, between the years of 1930 and 1970, the CDC conducted the Tuskegee experiment, where they took untreated males with syphilis and they refused to treat them. Even after antibiotics became available, they still did not treat them, and they did not tell them that they had syphilis. They told those people that they were there to secure their health, and they did not secure their health. They abused them. You say, well, that was in the past, although I don't think 1970 was that long ago. Well, in 2012, whistleblower William Thompson came forward and said, we published a study that said MMR does not cause autism, but we lied. In fact, we shredded data that showed that when black boys are vaccinated on time, they have increased rates of autism diagnosis. And we shredded it, and we left it out of the paper. As an African American and a PhD, I want to ask each of you, are we going to exclude 70% of African American people from the workforce and from education? Right, my ancestors did not work this hard. I come from a family that worked very hard, and I'm very aware that my privileges are dependent on the work of my grandmother and my great-grandmother, and I have great respect for these people that put me where I am. And yet you're telling me that my son will not be able to be educated if, based on the history of African Americans in this country, that he doesn't want to be vaccinated? All right, so I will leave you with that question. Who are we going to exclude from the workforce? Are we going to continue with discrimination and segregation in the United States of America? Thank you.